when I brought my Navy bean research to them, they wanted me to kind of leave the atherosclerosis stuff alone and then kind of focus on GMOs. Like, let's see how we can make some GMO versions of this bean. And I didn't want to go in that direction, so we ended up parting ways, and I started Original Man Scientific. So, can you talk about the integrity? Can you talk about, okay, I work for this company. They want me to do this. They want me to create a polymer that would end up, making some super, super, super vaccine, and I'm not with that. What value? What would you do in that type of valley of decision, or how would you take what you know in STEM and what you know in science and be able to kind of protect yourself from that type of work in your company?
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, I can say, inshallah, what I would do, right? But God's willing, everything, right? So there is no compromising on moral values, right? Because the moment that you compromise on moral values, then you always are going to default to that, right? And so what they do in some companies, right? And so what we are is we are a business that sells to businesses, right? And so we generate these materials, but we don't necessarily know what their end product is going to be. So you have some uncertainty in some cases. However, if there's the forethought, here's one example, right? You hear a lot about PFAS, which is persistent fluorinated chemicals, right? So chemicals which have a number of fluorine atoms on their surfaces, right? And what these do is they persist. So they sit in the environment, they do not break down, and they are extremely detrimental to human health and to the environmental health, right? And you'll often find them in like non-stick applications, so like non-stick cookware and things like that, right? As well as in like antifreeze type of components.
Right.
So there's a lot of there are a number of compounds that Dow produces that generates fluorinated chemicals, right? And we know that these chemicals often end up in majority Black and brown neighborhoods, right? And they end up impacting those folks. So with that knowledge, I'm not going to work on a fluorinated chemical, right? I know where history has shown us that it ends up. I know the negative impact that history says. So no, I will push back with my leader to say, no, I morally, I cannot work on that type of problem, right? And if we come to a decision where either you work on that problem or you get let go, well, I guess I just have to get let go. And it was the same thing when the COVID vaccine came around, right? We were given clear instructions. Do not take the COVID vaccine, right? From the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
That's right.
You will have pressure from your employers, oh, you have to take this or you will be let go. You'll have pressure from your graduate school, or you have to take this or I'm just going to have to be let go, because none of this matters enough to me that I will give my life for it, nor does it matter enough to me that I will compromise on morals. And enough of us have to have that moral fortitude that the Most Honorable Muhammad and the Honorable Mr. Farrakhan had, that we won't compromise on our integrity just to gain nearness or gain a buck or to gain a position, right? Because in the long run, that doesn't matter. In the long run, what matters is our integrity and how we use the gifts that God gives us to better the world, right? And so, inshallah, if it ever comes to that, I pray that Allah will give me the strength and the spirit to stand on the moral foundation that we were given as we were raised up.